Hi, my name is Reverend Carole Kiamah, and this is Thoughts of a Shaken Pastor Season 5. In this season, we are sharing stories of people who have positively impacted the growth of the church in this country, and it is my extreme pleasure to introduce a gentleman who is well known to us, Mr. Bedan Mbugua. Welcome.
I started at a place called Kaga, is near Githunguri, next to a forest, Larry Forest. And that's where I started experiencing how exciting it was to be with the nature, going to the river, drinking water straight from the river. It was tasty. And also in the forest, we would play there and try to imitate the monkeys. And we could actually say for 1 kilometer, everybody is going to jump from one tree to the other because it's a forest. And experiencing some of the harsh realities of such risks. Because when I was jumping to one, it broke. And I flew like I'm in a plane. But thank God there was just cushion from other growths. So I fell nicely. So from there now, there was state of emergency. That is when there was war between British and the Kenyans on issue of freedom.
Oh, wow.
And
so this was colonial era?
Era.
Okay.
That is now in 50s. As you know, state of emergency was declared in 1952. But there it was one of the hotbed of that war. Because that is where the military, British, and the Mau Mau fighters crashed. That is Ruiru River. Even there is a Mau Mau song talks about that war between the British were on this side and
the Mau Maus
on this side. And the children used to be taken to the hideouts. Mostly in the forest, because it was not safe to stay in your house overnight, because it could be set on fire.
Wow. And who would set them on fire?
Either, because British were very frustrated that those houses that are next to the forest, that they were feeding Mau Mau.
The rebels, yeah.
And there are times, of course, they would come and demand food. And so you had, if you don't give them food, they could kill you. If you are known, you could be killed from the other side.
So a lot of your childhood was actually, grew up during this time that was very tumultuous.
Very, very high conflict. And that's when now we could see British have shot a freedom fighter. He would be tied to a car and is dragged, the body, for us to see. So that we would never have an idea of doing such a thing. And during that time is when I lost parents. And I was like 6 years.
Were you the first child?
No, I was second.
How many were you?
We were 4. 3 boys and one girl. The girl also, during that period, died. We really don't know. What my younger brother says, she thinks it was the maize flour that had got mixed with the rat poison or something. So it was a very big tragedy.
Was she younger? Or
She was
older?
behind me.
Okay.
But why I'm saying my brother, because myself, I made a decision that time when I was 6, when I lost them. I am going to my aunt, who lives here in near Dederu in Kiamah constituency. I don't know why I made such a decision, because I walked. If you see that journey today, you'd be shocked. It's like 40 kilometers. And from there, I went to school pretty fast. And finally, that was Karura Primary School. Then we used to do a very serious exam called Common Entrance, class 4, nationally. Then only six people passed in my school. I was one of them. Then you would go to, they used to call it intermediate, class 5 to 8. There you have to speak English only, no Kikuyu, no Swahili. And then we would do now what was KCP was called KPE, Kenya Preliminary Exam. Then we passed 6 people to go to high school. So I went to Kirangari High School, and there was very, very exciting. One of the teachers, Michael Brandt, he noticed I'm really struggling with life. Like, I'm hungry, I'm sent home for
School fees.
So one day he said, look for Bedan, I want to have a cup of coffee. They love coffee. Maybe that's why I still drink coffee. So when I got to see him, he wanted really to inspire and encourage me. So he said, Bedan, I know you have a lot of challenges, school fees, many, many things. But I want to tell you, you have 2 big assets which no teacher can give you. Only your maker can give you. Creativity and originality. We teachers, we can only give you skills. Then we had a bishop. You know, high schools were always associated with the church.
Yes.
That is Obadiah Kariuki Bishop. He was in charge of Mount Kenya, Anglican. And when he came, he said, the beginning of knowledge is the fear
Of the Lord.
of the Lord. So if you want to be clever, and that's why you have come to this high school, it is simple. So I took that literally. So I became secretary of Christian Union, and that's when now I went to one of the camps. And again, the teaching there was very good. It was about the questioning Jesus, how Jesus questions things. I was at home with that. So that's when I gave my life to
Christ. This is in high school.
In high school.
Okay. Even though you had grown up with Christians.
Yeah, even people were surprised because they thought I was already...
You're already serving in the Christian Union.
Yeah, and they thought I was very good and everything. So they were like, why is he saying this now when he has started? Anyway, we became very, very active. And I remember we started also visiting other high schools, also to help them set up Christian Union. And that's how my journey started. Of course, from there, I went to do pharmacy in the School of Health Sciences, and I started working. And I worked for Kenyatta for 3 years, then Swiss Pharmaceutical Farm. Then we were the first students at Daystar. After Daystar, I went to Biola University in the US. It was very interesting. When I was there, I met many Kenyans from other universities, and they were telling me how life was in the US. But one of them was, I must learn to work, like during summer holiday to get extra money. And they got me a job to sell gas is petrol. And when I was thinking about that job, then they took me to the petrol station. But I said, I think I could lose my vision when I start selling petrol.
Making dollars.
And making dollars. But I didn't have problem with the dollars. But this idea, so I asked the friends from Kenya who got me the job, what is the difference between selling petrol in Pangani in Kenya and selling in California, in San Francisco? So they got so upset. They started to twang. This guy is very cocky. We got a job for him. So they were very angry, but I decided I was not going to do that. So I went back to Los Angeles, where my university was, and I had a room. When you are a student with a scholarship, you don't lose your room. I locked myself. I started writing stories, how in Africa we were making our own toys. And no parents ever bought a toy for anybody. Girls, they were making theirs. And then I sent to one of the papers, and it was published.
Oh, wow.
And it was exciting to Americans. So I started writing toys, stories. Some were just to make them laugh. For instance, I would tell them, there we ride giraffes. And our city has parking for giraffes. And you have to pay to put the coins before you get down, because to climb back again, you have to eat lunch first to get energy to climb.
To climb all the way up.
But I would end that, those were humor. I would at the end say, I'm just pulling your leg. But because that is the stereotype they had, they wanted to think it was true.
Yeah, very Tarzan.
Then another time I would say, when I got to the airport, when I was coming, I didn't have anybody to take my giraffe back. So I looked left and right. I didn't see somebody, and I left my giraffe there at the airport. And now I got a message, it has got a young one. You could see, even in university now, where I'm having my dinner, they pull all the chairs so that we can, talk about those stories. Anyway, the end, I was perpetuating my career in communicating,
Yes.
in writing,
Yes.
and it had such impact. That is one very interesting that happened. The second one was there was all the most places there is sometimes very subtle discrimination.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not really something even Americans understand. We had an office of minority students, written office of minority students. I didn't like that idea. Because all of us were invited to go there because you achieve a certain intellectual acumen or level. And now, what are special problems for me to take to the office of minorities? So see, now
the message is very, subliminal that
Yeah.
you are inferior at a level.
Yeah, something, it reminds you.
Yeah.
So I was also now associate editor of also that paper. I became associate editor. So this paper, I wrote a story now. God visits now the university. So when God was walking in a simple human body and the clothes, he saw the signboard, Office of Minorities. And the God said, although God doesn't normally forget, I don't remember creating any minorities. So God now decided to go to see the president of the university. And he got to the PA, and he was told, you can't see president without prior appointment. That is out. No debate. He is a very busy man. So God left, and that story was so powerful, you can imagine.
Yeah, because this is a Christian university.
Yeah.
Biola is a Christian.
Yeah.
So the message, it was a very active,
So somebody came, Dean of Admin, and they said, President Richard Chase
wants to see you.
want to see you. So
and you're on scholarship.
So the students now, this guy is going home.
Oh.
So anyway, I went.
Were you afraid?
No. Through all the life I had gone through.
And you had seen a lot of injustice.
Yeah. And now when you said about liberation, God has been preparing me without me knowing.
Yeah.
So I was not afraid. I was relaxed. He gave me a cup of coffee. But he was a very smart guy. So he said, well, I was reading this article. It's brilliant. Then I was even more shaken now, because I thought I'm waiting for the word, but. So he was not going to say but. He just said it was brilliant, it is well written, it's creative, but he just asked one question. What would you rather have? I don't like the sign. What should I have? What should be alternative? I thought that was a very good question. So I said, Office of Intercultural relations. And he hit the table. He said, yes. He took the phone, Dean of Administration, removed that signboard.
And put this.
And they put Office of Intercultural Relations. You know, when I came, I started at the same level as associate editor.
Oh, wow, because now you had actually been working.
I have been working. Yeah. And so there was somebody called Stanford who came to start now that magazine under Youth for Christ, the Step.
Uh-huh.
So I was recruited from US. So when I came, I doubled as associate editor for Step. It was only some month old. And I was also, I doubled also as a journalist for Los Angeles Times. I have never picked a notebook to go in the field because I was associate editor of Step. And Stanford stayed only 1 year, and I took over
as the editor
in chief for Step. And then Step, I said, it must be the most selling magazine in Kenya. And we became in the fifth year.
Oh, wow.
And the fifth year, NCCK had met. They said they want to persuade me to start a leadership publication. Now the one I've given
this one
to
here,
see the copy.
The business.
The Beyond.
The Beyond, a Christian leadership magazine.
Yeah.
Actually, you said this is the pilot issue.
That was by
7 bob. 7 shillings.
So that tells you how way back, because even a newspaper, I don't know whether it was 2 shillings and 50 cents, like Nation that time. Yeah?
2 shillings.
2 shillings 50 cents, something like that.
Oh, wow.
So,
this is you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you have seen I had an afro.
Yes. A lot of hair. Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
And so, when I take something over like this, anywhere, anything I do, I want to make a difference. Big difference. So this became now, like even the major papers were fighting to distribute this. So finally, I don't know whether we give it to Standard or Nation. We give to Nation to be our distributor.
Wow.
And this one now, the Step, the major thing about Step was to involve youth so that they can present both the solution and the challenges they were facing. And if it is on employment, then we were like, how can you create
employment?
And this changed lives of very, very many young people. But this was moderate, as you can see.
Yes.
So 5 years, you see,
85.
85. It actually did 85 is beyond. The Step I worked for 5. That means 80. So when I returned from US. And 5 years, the success of this made the NCCK and those mainstream churches to come that I start a leadership publication. And this was to address issues that are affecting Kenyans, and the church to be the vanguard, to be the one to have greatest concern. And at that time, the oppression, as you remember, was very, very high. If like now, we are 9, like now you are how many? 5? You are 6.
Yes, we're 6.
3 more we needed now to go to the chief to get permit
To meet
here in my house. That's how
it was that bad.
It was
because it
that
was
bad.
just after the coup, and so there's need to consolidate, to reconsolidate.
Yeah, but why the coup was is that people were frustrated already. Because now this is 85. But Moi had taken over from Kenyatta 78.
Yes.
So it was the party, they were taking ideas from Romania, which was a dictatorial, a communist
nation.
country. And so party was going to be the mother of everything. That impressed Moi a lot. A party that controls everything. In fact, that is where you had the name Baba na Mama. The party is going to be Baba na Mama. So it was such an oppression that you could not speak freely. You had to look this way and that way.
And you could not say anything negative about the national leaders at the time.
Yeah, you could not say.
Could not question, actually.
Any questioning. And so the turning point was myself and the Reverend Joya. We were invited to go to Harare for a conference involving communicators from Africa. And the story there in that hall was, I think we have to ask government to give us more freedom to do this. Government to give us more freedom. So when my turn to speak came, I said very little. I said, 1, why don't we then ask government to show us where they get this freedom or mine the freedom so that ourselves we can get it for ourselves. Since we are asking it to give us.
Because really there should be the freedom.
Yeah, I'm saying now God is the source
of freedom.
Because even God places himself to a position of vulnerability.
Yeah.
That you can have a choice to accept him
or not,
or reject him.
Yeah.
So he is that source of remarkable freedom.
So in essence, what you were telling the government is that they cannot own
own freedom.
Yeah.
And I was reminding these journalists that if there is a source of water there, and you are complaining that the government must come to give
us water,
is ridiculous. Go to that source and get water. So, of course, that was sounding very revolutionary at that time.
I think you needed to have lived during that time
Yeah.
to understand
To
exactly
understand.
how
Yeah.
dangerous that kind of thinking or how frowned upon that thinking was.
It was like, and then, unfortunately, in that meeting, we had people who had run from Kenya, like Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Michere Mugo, all that group was there.
In the conference.
So we are now mixing with the dissidents. Michere Mugo, all those were there. And so, even one of the son of Gatu, Reverend Gatu, who was PCA General Secretary, was one of the rebels there. So when we came back, we were to be watched.
And you didn't know?
Well, you always knew. We would go to a restaurant. Like, did you find green? What do you?
Green corner.
Green corner.
Yes.
That's where we were going with the joy. Then we find these intelligence people around there. They are recording us. And then Joya and I would say, let's speak about all the things we want the government to know. First, my position was, and has been even today, that the people who need free press most is the government. Because look like this case where somebody was conning people in that area of Trans Nzoia that you are going to study somewhere.
Yeah.
People had even sold land.
And property.
How would you know excesses committed by government agents? Because government has many agents, and it doesn't know what agent is doing in particular corner. And the press, free press, is the one that brings
these issues to the forefront.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at Chakahora. Look, all those things, finally, is the media that brings out. And the government needs to know that group of soldiers, they committed crime somewhere, they raped women, they did this. How can they know excesses? So that was my view, that the one who needs free press most
is the government.
And that time, Moi just one day said, this man, I want to meet him.
Yourself now?
Yeah. So I was called like 5 a.m. in the morning. Moi used to go to the office very early. And then we had those phones, you remember? And I picked, and I'm told, mzee anataka kukuona. So I say, mzee gani?
Though you knew?
No, I didn't know. I was told, His Excellency, the President want to meet you. Oh. And I decided 2 things. First, let me go to one pastor to tell him, so that if I disappear,
they know.
They know. So I went to see Reverend Mutava Musimi. I told him I had this call. I was told to go to Norfolk, and Macto would be waiting for me.
Macto.
So you remember? Macto was said to be Moi's son. Yeah. So anyway, Mutava followed me at a distance. So I went there. I got to his Mercedes and I parked my car there where I was shown to State House. He had instructed when we get to State House, I should not queue. You know, many people were queuing.
Yeah, at the entrance.
Yeah, no, the reception. The generals of the army, the ministers, he said I should just pass. So they were they were coming to the window to see who is that guy who is not queuing. Anyway, I went. President was now told by secretary, Your Excellency, this is Bedan Mbugua. So Moi lifts his face and he said, Lakini nilifikiria hii mtu iko fiti 7. Na vile tumepata tabu na huyu. Kumbe ni mtu dogo namna hii. So I said, Your Excellency, I'm a small guy.
With a big pen.
Just said that. So he showed me to sit. Unataka chai au gahawa? Said tea.
Even though you like coffee.
Yeah, he's the one who put the tea. And then we start to chat. He was a quite easy person to chat with. And I told him that because he was very keen, vile hatulali usingizi. I said, I know is what we write that is a big issue. But nobody has ever come to say we are not factual or it's not truthful. Never. I've never heard anybody who took us for libel. So I told him, we had 23 countries that had military government. But during time of getting their instrument of independence, no country, all those countries, the instruments were handed over to civilian government. How come now we have military? Just like you have seen now recently, Niger and those countries. And you ask yourself, what has happened? So I told him, first, the government does not really carry itself together with the people. So they start to be oppressive and the people start to get away from that government. And then finally, you bring the security forces to prop you to power.
Yeah, and to keep you there.
And to keep you there. And one day, they know they are the one keeping you there.
Then they topple you.
They topple you, and then they claim they want to be with the people. That you have seen recently.
Yeah.
When I told him that, he was so uneasy. That's why I write, because I love Kenya. Now, we were joined by a very unusual character called Biwott. Everything. Biwott, I didn't know Moi had feared Biwott like that. Biwott took charge. He said, Mzee, President, hata huu kijana sio mbaya sana, ni kusukumwa ni makanisa. Aandike vile yeye naandika. So, tumpatie meza mahali aandike barua aseme Moi ni Mkristo na ni mtu wa huruma, na all that I have been writing I was pushed by churches.
Denounce.
Yeah. Hey. You know, when you are supposed to melt when you are in State House. And
because you feel like you're in the lion's den, you're
you are
in the
like
middle of
and the
enemy
lions are
territory.
looking and the lions are looking at you. And so I said to Moi, now I told me what, I don't think Moi would support that because he is a Christian. You know, he had just like today the way the president has identified a Christian, you know. So I said, Moi is a Christian, and I should not give false evidence against
the church.
Institutions of God. Simple. So Moi now decided, there is another meeting I have to go, so kuachia Biwott na Makto. When he left, Biwott said, President amekasirika na hujui uso wake akikasirika inaonekanaji. So you have to write that letter so that he can drop the case. My case now was already there with the Judge Mango, who was very, very pro-government, you remember. So, ndio aondoe ile case, uandike hiyo. So I told Biwott, I don't think president interferes with the courts. I was really playing. They were interfering all the time.
Of course.
But I said so. So I said, finally, I cannot give false evidence against institutions of God. That is my finality. So, of course, that Friday, I think it was a Tuesday, that Friday came.
Ukaachiliwa ukaenda home.
Yeah, I was taken back now to Norfolk to take my car because huyu hawezi kusaitika. That's what Biwott said. So from that day now, the judgment was on Friday on my case.
And you were being accused of what? Libel?
No, there was no accusation of the content. It was now that we didn't file returns. And the returns for newspaper was you give a copy to archive so that they can keep. Because if it is, the Beyond was just a department of communication in NCCK. Returns are done by the principals, like directors of the organization, general secretary. So returns had nothing to do
with you,
with me, you know. It's like your church now, and returns, you don't even know they are returns. Because they are done by
a different department.
Yeah. So that's how now this Mango hit the table. Bedan Mbugua, stand up. You have been found guilty of all 3 counts. Count 1, even I was not knowing what are these counts. Count 1, 9 months. Count 2, 9 months. Count 3, 9 months. Then he said to run concurrently, which means I serve 9.
Oh, you don't serve all?
Yeah, that's how they. So now I was not going home now. From there, the askaris are to take me down.
Kesi hakuna?
Hakuna now. He did not analyze. He did not analyze the issues. He just concluded. So
And that time people were so afraid, so even getting somebody to fight for you.
Oh, they were afraid even to associate with you. So 2 things happened that day. One of them, actually 3 of them happened. One, when I was there, this Wanji, I don't know where she had, I have never known a piece of paper. So I was in the dock, she passed.
Wanji, your daughter now?
Yeah, it said, many are people, many a people lose a crown of gold because they have given up just 1 minute earlier. And
how old was she?
I cannot remember.
This was which year?
It was 88 there.
So she was like 14 or so.
Yeah, she was. So I got that note. That was before this judgment. And so I stood very calm, composed, and inside my head I was saying, but you are not God. You don't have finality. Inside the head, so it was going on. And so, even as the second thing is the newspaper walked now, like now these journalists with their cameras with me when I'm being taken now to those, and the prisons, you know, those courts have cells under. So they are interviewing me. What are your last words? I said, false lies and falsehood have no capacity to sustain themselves because they lack internal logic which holds things together. So they will disintegrate any time. I cannot tell you where I got those words. They just came. And it was the headline of the paper. And they said, editor remained calm and composed. So from there, I found myself now at Committee prison. I should have said that the major issue of that publication was we had exposed Mulolongo election rigging. You have had, you know,
they have had.
There was election where you had to stand behind your candidate.
Yeah.
And the idea was for government to see
who is popular.
No, is to see those who are standing behind a pro-government candidate. Because pro-government candidates had a very small queue. And those who are in opposing government had long, even kilometers. And I had asked pastors all over Kenya to help me when they are counting, also to count, and they give me the data. So I had pictures and those queues. So that publication is somewhere in this house.
I hope we'll get it.
I think the person who knows is off, but when he comes, I'll try to get. It had said those who lost and those who won. I didn't even give opinion. I just showed the queue, pictures,
And the results from the
and
government.
the results. So when that magazine hit the street, first 40,000 copies. In 10-15 minutes, they were all bought. So the printing press never stopped. Another 40, they are gone. Another, when to get over 100,000, the government said this publication could overthrow the government the way it's going. So on 14th of March, 8, I guess, we were banned.
Beyond Magazine now.
Yeah. Present and the current, that is present, and the future, they were banned. And then I was put there in committee, but God is great. When I went there, those wardens, they had habit of just beating people. So we are put in a circle, so they come beating people. No reason at all to break you.
Kama entertainment.
Yeah, kama entertainment. That's a good word. But they would start here, beat people round. They come where I used to have glasses. So they would say, where macho, wewe, wewe, utajuta wewe. But nobody would hate me. So they would go back again, beating people, come to this end. We macho ine. We utaona chamtema kuni. We. Then they go again. Nobody hit me.
You when you're in prison.
Nobody.
How long were you there?
I was now to stay for 9 months. But look at what God is going to do now. Now I'm there for 9 months. So the world press, all over the world, you find Australia, they have brought petition to our embassy. America, Europe, Norway, everywhere. And then they started chain letters.
A lot of pressure.
Letters. Mr. President released the editor. That kangaroo court could not carry justice. And those letters started to get to Kenya in the first month. I was told their vehicle had to carry full vehicle. There was a room where they put all this, and they were getting a heap and going up to this ceiling. So they said, this is too much. Let's draw attention of the president. So Moi went and saw, say, fungua hii barua, fungua hii. They were all addressed to him. So his reaction was, hawa watu wa intelligence na attorney general wamelala kwa kazi. How did this guy became popular all over the world and they are not telling us? And he used to fear international reaction.
Yeah. Negative press.
Yeah. So the Attorney General and the Chief of Intelligence, he asked them, how do we solve? They said, let's accept an appeal. They had refused an appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fred Ojabo was my lawyer.
Oh, yeah, Fred.
Yeah.
We're hoping to talk to him as well.
Yeah. So he had put an appeal which was rejected, that it had no chance of succeeding. So now they said, we have now accepted the appeal. Let's give this to a mzungu judge. Huyu mzungu wao akimu jail, sasa sisi hatuna maneno. So they gave to Justice Frank Shields, who was a very independent judge. So he carried the file in the evening to study it at home. When he came in the morning, he said, this gentleman had no case to answer, because first he was not the this offense of returns doesn't seem to make sense, because a department doesn't give returns.
So the company gives returns.
So he had no case to answer. So he ordered me to be freed after, I think I was in 2nd month or 3rd.
Let me ask, in this journey, when you look back from the time you were a young boy growing up, what you've seen, what the Lord has allowed you to accomplish to where you are today, what has been one of the hardest knock? Because we all, sometimes we look at people who've achieved a lot and we assume it was very easy. But what are some of the moments that you can look back and say, surely that was difficult, but the Lord was, that was a steep price?
Well, a number of things. One is, you see, when you are first an orphan and you are a child, it is like the whole world is collapsing as you are inside it. And that is one most difficult thing for that child. He doesn't know what to do. And the thing that helped me most is faith, especially of our mother. That 6 years was enough for me to get the values. For instance, the truth was so fundamental to our mother. Those period we spent with her, we knew truth, matters of truth were not negotiable. So from that day, if you did something and she asked, you say, Mom, I'm the one who did it. You have 85% chances of being forgiven. And she forgave. If you repeat, she could even forgive. But when she realizes you are just joking, then you are in trouble. So those values, the second one was, she used to gather children who are eaten by jiggers. Did you hear about that when you were?
When I used to visit my grandmother.
Yeah. So, the jiggers, she used to gather kids around and they come, wash them with dongu, that dong, the plant. It's like our Dettol that time. And she would really clean, and because there were so many jiggers, she had sterilized, she put it to burn the razor blade, and they cut the jiggers. You could remove one by one. then clean with that plant. And then she is giving them full attention. So we were jealous. So one day when she left, we beat them up. When she came again, we have never been beaten. We thought we were going to die. So we knew compassion was very key. And those values, especially those two, we have it even up to today.
You have achieved a lot, and you've told us, the whole journey, some things we didn't know, and how far the Lord has brought you. When you look back, what is your moment that you're most proud of? What would you say would be a defining moment? You look back and you say, surely, I'm glad God allowed me to be able to do this.
Is when I went to State House and I was supposed to give false evidence against
the
church. And finally, it was very difficult. Finally, I felt like a big rock was lying on me, pinning me down, when I said, I cannot give false evidence against the institutions of God.
Amen.
I felt so powerful. Remember, I was in the State House. And the State House became so reduced to a small shell. And I was in charge.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
That's the moment.
What's your legacy? What do you want your children, the world, to remember you for?
Is one is here is a man who stood for truth, and here is a man who served Kenyans.
Amen.
If all those come to my
eulogy,
my eulogy, which you didn't ask, is that when I die, I'm not kept more than 3 days, so that you can tell anybody. And there is no, all this calling people to come, that they can hold service after. Yeah? And no saduku. Just a blanket and a white sheet, and they are not to bukiza me with a saduku. They go down there and they lay me down there. Then they plant a very beautiful tree, like Prunus africana or fig tree or any beautiful tree, and they pray.
And it's over.
And it is over. The other one is environment has been one gift of God that we have completely neglected, and is the Bible say it's yawning in pain, agonizing in pain. The creation is agonizing. And the Christians, we have no answer. So I have come with the idea, you will Google, I give you a card.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, that is I've come with a new way called citizen-driven, not government-driven, not NGO-driven. Like these citizens who are here, they take responsibility, everybody.
For their space.
For their space. Let's celebrate our birthdays. Like you didn't have opportunity to visit my farm, you see one forest, almost 400 trees. They were planted my 70th.
Oh, wow.
And now it's a forest. And that forest, I'm making it an apiary, which will hold up to 500 hives. And if it can hold to 1,000,
the better.
So that I will be getting a lot of honey, also to sustain myself. I have also planted a fruit forest made of many fruits, apples, apricots, mangoes, so many apples. I mean, so many fruits. We have to think, why did God created all this? And respect them and be helpful to them.
And you know, in the beginning, in the book of Genesis, God did cast the ground.
Yeah.
But then Jesus came to set free. And I believe, in fact, there's a time I was asking myself, why was Jesus put on a crown of thorns, you know? And I feel even that bleeding, the fact that the thorns pierced and shed blood, it did set nature free. And later on, Paul does say that the world waits in eager expectations for us, the children of God, to be released. And it's not just people. It is the all of creation.
The whole creation
waits in eager expectation.
You know, there was a time we were eating something and we were applying, I think, honey. I think it was a piece of brown bread. And the bee came to eat some little honey that was remaining here on my mustache. And I decided I'm not going to disturb it. So people were like screaming that I'm going to be stung. It ate and finished and it went.
And it didn't sting.
It didn't sting. So I think if we adjust in a certain way, we'll be in harmony with our creation.
Wow. Wow, it's been so wonderful talking to you. So wonderful, you know, just taking this opportunity to journey back with you. Maybe someone who's watching, what is your parting shot?
The parting shot is that we were made purposely by God, not accidentally. We are the culmination of His goodness, the values that I mentioned earlier. And this creation of us to be part of the bigger creation He created, we need to be always making a positive difference in whatever we do, wherever we are. If you are working in a company, like I worked in Citizen, my challenge there was, how can I make a big difference in this media? Anywhere I've been, the university where I was, I made a certain positive difference. Anywhere. And that parting shot is, if everybody is making that positive difference, if you can't make a difference, add a little positive value to whatever you touch and you do. And we are going to make Kenya a wonderful, wonderful place where many people of many nations will come to say, there is something unique happening. So start today to make that difference. Even whatever you are doing at the moment, make it the best. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. You know, one of the things that has stood out for me in this story is actually three things. One is that we are called to sound the trumpet. You know, the church is still the vehicle of choice for God for transformation. And we have a responsibility to bring out these biblical truths and defend them, because that is what faith is about. So that has come out for me very clearly. The other thing that I've learned from your story is that, you know, you can, whatever life hands you, you have a choice to either stand and take charge, or to be a victim. And the third takeaway is a promise I want to make you here in front of everybody who's hearing and those of us who are shooting in this room. I turn 50 soon, and I will take up that challenge and plant 50 trees. That will be my contribution. You know, that's how I think moving forward, celebrating that way.
To come and also
plant some more. Sindikisha me. I'm going to do that, because then I don't have to keep complaining about what is happening. I can actually do something about it.
Thank you.
You know? Yeah, so that has challenged me. And I'm thinking that's a great way, rather than going to do out of the country. Maybe I should just kusanya that money and plant trees, so that in the event that the Lord should tarry, other people can continue enjoying what the Lord has presented. So thank you so much for your time. And may the Lord bless you. I look forward to, you know, what the Lord is going to do through you in the next phase. If you're watching us, your life can make a difference. Choose to stand up, choose to take a stand, and choose to sound the trumpet. The Church of Jesus Christ remains undefeatable. God bless you, and let's see you next week. Bye.